Hi everyone, it's Taylor. Welcome back to my channel. I'm an American expat living in Malaysia and I like to share my life and travels with you. Well, the other day I was thinking about my recent trip to Paris. And while I enjoyed it, I found it extremely tiring. So I started wondering, am I too old to travel or am I just doing it wrong? Sound interesting? Stay tuned. Now don't get me wrong, I really enjoyed my trip to Paris. It was beautiful. But you know, it was way different than when I was younger. I know, I should have thought about it, but Paris and that kind of travel requires tons of walking. And when you're like me, suffering from a heart condition, and I get tired very easily, that's just not the trip for me anymore. Also, despite the fact that I flew business class, and you would think that would just be wonderful, I still found it extremely tiring. Now, there is a reason for that. I do use a CPAP for sleeping, and I was too embarrassed to hook it up on the plane. I just thought it would look weird and people would look at me funny. So I chose just to pretty much get hardly any sleep at all. So that sort of defeats the purpose of business class, if you ask me. But that's what I did. You know, I was also thinking that I don't have a real strong desire to travel anymore. I mean, I have been all over the world. Europe, South America, most of Asia, India. I don't know, the only part I really haven't explored is like the Middle East and Greece and that area in the Mediterranean, which I would like to do sometime, but I don't know, I'm afraid it might be too late for that. So I think that my lack of desire to travel has a lot to do with the fact that I've already traveled extensively in my life. Another thing that I thought of was the distance involved. Like I mentioned, even in business class, I felt it was too tiring and too long. 15 hours travel to Paris? Well, and that's why I don't go back to the US very often, or probably never again, I don't know, because it takes about 30 hours of travel for me to get to Florida from here. That's just too much, even if it was in business class, which I couldn't afford. So going forward, I think I'm going to look for travel that is closer to home. You know, you can get many places from Malaysia, many interesting places, in just a few hours. I mean, I wouldn't even rule out Australia. That's not too far. So I think I'm still going to be interested in traveling places that aren't too far away. Also, speaking generally, it really depends on your fitness level and your health. Like I mentioned, I have a heart problem, so that makes it impossible for me to walk too much. But if you're fit, you know, you can get around, and I don't think it would be a problem. I saw many people my age or older on my travels that seem to be doing just fine. But that goes back to the type of travel I like now, one that doesn't involve too much walking. For instance, in Paris, oh my gosh, you just have to walk everywhere because it's impossible to drive. And the metro, which seemed really convenient when I was younger, just seems horrible now and a real hassle. So much walking if you have to change trains, and stairs everywhere. Certainly not enough escalators for me. So I was thinking, what kind of travel do I really prefer? Well, you know what? I'm not that big into sightseeing anymore. Like I said, I've already seen a lot. So I prefer a relaxing vacation, maybe lying on the beach. Maybe lying on the beach with a cocktail. Maybe lying on the beach with a cocktail and then having a massage later. That sounds like my kind of travel now. As you probably know, I'm going to Koh Samui next week to meet up with Jeremy and Claire, my good friends from Siem Reap. And I am so looking forward to that. Now that's the kind of travel I look forward to now. It's about 4.5 hours to fly there because I have to transfer in Singapore. But that's not too bad. And once I get there, they're going to have a car because they're pet sitting in this beautiful villa on a mountainside overlooking the ocean. And we'll spend our days there or at my place. I get a place on the beach. And I can't wait to just step out of my room and put my toes in the sand. So we'll have a choice between those two locations, and that'll be lovely. And we all love Thai food, so it's going to be just heavenly eating out at Thai restaurants every night, sitting by the pool, sipping a cocktail or a glass of wine. It'll just be so nice. And a whole week, I think I'll be really rested after that trip. Unlike Paris, where I got sick and I was extremely exhausted and it took me a couple weeks to get over when I got back. Another thing that I just can't do anymore are airport transfers. Oh my goodness. In Abu Dhabi on my way to Paris, well, on the way it wasn't too bad because they had the moving sidewalks going both directions. And, that cuts down on the walking some, but it's still tons of walking. I mean, easily over 1 kilometer or more. But flying back, I don't know, it was the same airport, but it must have been a different wing, or I don't know what they call them where all the planes are, where you have to walk back to the center and then go in another wing to get your connecting flight. Well, this wing I was in, the moving sidewalks weren't both ways. Can you imagine? They were only going out to the planes. Now that's crazy. I have never seen anything like that. And so I walked and walked and walked and walked. And I finally, I realized I wasn't even halfway there. And I'd been walking for like 20 minutes and I'm carrying this heavy bag with me. So I flagged down one of those golf cart taxis. Now, generally I would be embarrassed to do that, but I don't know, I'm 71 now, so I shouldn't feel embarrassed at all. I asked the guy if it was okay, and he said, sure, it's free. So he took me to my gate, and that helped a lot. But I need to look into that in the future if I'm having any big layovers, because I just can't walk those distances anymore. I mean, in my youth I could, no problem. But at 71, not so much. Well, ever since 1998, I found my favorite mode of transport and travel, and that's cruising. Oh, my goodness. I don't know why it took me so long to find it. And I know a lot of people say, oh, it's going to be boring, it's going to be claustrophobic. It is not, let me tell you. There is just something so wonderful about being at sea, feeling those ocean breezes, going from port to port, not having to pack and unpack, having your room all just right there for you the whole time you're traveling. I went on an 18-night cruise of Southeast Asia once. In fact, that was the first time I was in Malaysia, and it was just wonderful. I saw so much, but without too much effort. Now, I know a lot of people will think, oh, you're just lazy if you want to go on a cruise. Well, I'm sorry, but no, I'm not that lazy. I'm just old and have a few health issues. So I just have to keep that in mind. And if cruising is my favorite way to travel, then so be it. What I found traveling in Southeast Asia now, though, after COVID, was that, oh gosh, there just aren't that many different cruises coming out of Singapore, which is where I usually sail out of. I don't know why it's taken the cruise lines so long to get back to Southeast Asia. It's really annoying. And there's this very limited selection of where to go. I mean, I've done the Singapore to Penang to Phuket so many times that I just can't do that one again. Plus the cruises tend to be shorter now, at least in Southeast Asia. I think a lot of people can't take a lot of time off from work. But another thing is that the prices since COVID have really gone up too, which is disappointing. Because I used to be able to do a nice cruise for, less than $1,000. Not anymore. Now that's not the case in the US. In the US, there are tons of really inexpensive cruises, mostly out of Florida, I guess, but even out of California and New York, too. So if you've never tried a cruise, I encourage you to try it, because I think you'd like it. I have some friends in Penang, Heather and Mike. Oh, I don't know, they just went on their first cruise a couple of years ago, and they are hooked. Boy, they are always on a cruise now. They just love it. And most people I know, once they try it, they never go back to other ways of travel. Well, not all the time anyway. Another thing about cruises that I don't mind is that it's very easy to travel alone. And I've done many cruises by myself. And you meet people. It's super easy to meet people. They have meetup things on board for singles and other things. And it's just fun. You just meet new people and you hang out with them. But you still have your time alone, which you all know is very important to me. But don't worry about traveling alone on a cruise. Now, I've done other travel alone by myself too. In fact, I even went to Paris once by myself, which wasn't that great, but I did meet up with some friends there, so it wasn't totally alone. But because I'm an introvert, traveling alone really isn't an issue for me. Like when I go out to dinner here, it's often alone. and I don't feel the least bit odd about it. I just bring my book with me, read, and have a lovely dinner. I enjoy my own company. I think you should too. Okay, now you all know that I recently got a car, so I'm planning to drive more and discover more of Malaysia. Well, I just discovered after driving to Penang that that's too far. It's really an unpleasant drive. I got in a terrible traffic jam due to an accident on the way, and on the way back, the traffic just stopped about 50 kilometers outside of KL, and we just crawled back from there. So it took me like 4.5 to 5 hours to get there and 5.5 hours to get back. And that's just too long for something that should be a 3.5 to 4 hour drive. Plus, the people on the highways here are crazy. I mean, there's so many different speeds people are going. There's the lorries in the left lane who are going super slow, and then everybody has to pass them, and that gets dangerous. And then if you get in the passing lane, and you think you're doing fine, I mean, I'm driving along at like 130 kilometers an hour, which is quite fast, and then someone will come zooming up behind me and flashing their lights and going, move, 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 and then you just see them fly by like you're standing still. I mean, these cars, and I have to say, they're mostly big, expensive cars, or Velfires. Look up Velfire if you don't know what it is. It's a big Toyota van here, very popular in Malaysia. But they think they own the road, and they just go flying by you. Now, the accident I saw on the way to Penang was with a Velfire, and I bet it was one that had passed me going 1,000,000 miles an hour. Now, nobody was hurt, so that was good. But gosh, no one needs to go 150, 160 kilometers an hour. Even 130 seems excessive, but I can manage that. But anyway, I'm going to just do shorter trips. Like Malacca is only a 2-hour drive, and I think that would be lovely. And then there's a lot of places just not too far from KL that I'm going to check out too. Or if you're going to the East Coast, I have found that the traffic is not nearly as bad as the corridor between KL and Penang. So look for more driving trips from me, but don't look for me driving to Penang again, I don't think. It's nice to have the car when I'm there, but Jill has a car, so she can take me around, and that's fine. Plus, it's just so much more relaxing to go on the train or the bus, the Aeroline bus. So another big obstacle for me about traveling too much is missing my sweet Earl Grey. And I don't know, as he's gotten older, he's around 7 now, he is so sweet now and so loving, and I spend a lot of time at home, as you well know, but he just misses me so much. Even if I have someone taking care of him, he just seems so sad when I'm gone. And of course I'm thinking about it the whole time I'm traveling, like, oh, poor Earl Grey. Now, I don't think pets have the same concept of time that we do, and he does sleep almost all the time. But gosh, he seems so excited to see me when I get back. It's so sweet. And then every time I get the suitcase out for another trip, he starts acting weird again, because he knows what's coming. He's a smart boy. So, as long as he's being taken care of, I don't worry too much, but it does give me pause about traveling too much. So, those are a lot of reasons why I don't travel too much. And I don't know that it has a great deal to do with my age, although it does, some of it, my age and my health. But it's a lot to do with my personality too, because I really like to stay at home. I love my apartment, I love my life in KL, and I can do things daily, and that just suits me just fine. Now, don't think I'm not going to travel anymore, because I still will. But I am a homebody, and I admit it. I think most introverts are homebodies. Sort of goes with the territory, right? So I hope you got something out of this video today. I just was thinking about it after my Paris trip, and I thought I would share it with you. If you enjoyed today's video, please like and subscribe, and check the notification bell too, that way you won't miss any of my future content. Also, as you know, I have Buy Me a Coffee now, and I enjoy it so much when you guys buy me a coffee. I had breakfast yesterday from some coffees that somebody bought me. So thank you so much, anyone who buys me a coffee. It really helps to support my channel, and it makes it more worthwhile for me to do these videos. But that's all I have for today, everyone. I've got to do another video later today because I'm trying to get stuff in the bank before I go to Koh Samui, because I don't want to have to film there. Well, of course I will be filming there, but I don't want the pressure of having to put something out while I'm there. I'm just going to be there over one weekend, I think Wednesday to Wednesday. So, but I'll have something that's coming out here while I'm gone. And I think it's going to be about the night markets here. You can look forward to that. But that's all I have for today, everybody. Again, I hope you enjoyed it and you have a great week. Talk to you later. Bye.